Hello, everybody, and welcome to LLD Random but Real Stigma Breakers Collective, or the Stigma Breakers Collective edition. We do this every first Wednesday with my girl Danya and Ash B. So we are three people who are mental health advocates. Is really, really important to us to try to break the stigmas that are out there. And so we kind of believe, or do believe, that the best way to do that is by actually talking about some of the mental health related issues. And so one of the things that we want you to know is that although some of us actually have been therapists or work in that way, or that um, capacity. Our statements on here are those of the host, the guests. We are not trying to be official mental health professionals on here. We're not trying to be a counselor or a therapist. Some of us have experience in it, but it is just our desire to share what we've learned through our process so that you all don't have to experience some of the same stories and situations that we've had to experience in our life. So thank you to all who are joining. But if you need resources, then we have them. You can go to either one of our websites. The Rock for Life Foundation, masteringmindmatters.org, or Lisa L. Gilliam. I don't have any resources on there now, but you can leave me a message and I will definitely give them, or I'll refer you out to these two who have all that information already on their websites. And it's just because mine is mostly based on music and all the other things that I do. So with that being said, every month we have a different topic. And this time we're actually going to be talking about self-esteem. And you know, we realize, well, one of the things that Danya always says is that, mental health is, or affects, or can affect every aspect of our lives. And so when you all brought up the topic, I don't know who brought up the topic, but whoever did, one of the things that I remembered is when I was young, I'm not 6'1" now, but I used to be. And so I was so tall, and I was always, when people take pictures in the classroom and they'll tell you to get in size. Well, I was always in the back. Always. Like, I already knew it wasn't anybody taller than me, except for maybe somebody in high school. It might have been like a guy that was taller, but I was always tallest. And I don't think I liked it. In fact, I know I didn't. Still to this day, people ask me to get stuff off the shelves in the grocery store. Can you help me? What if I don't want to be bothered? Just let me shop. But one of the things, I just didn't like being 6'1" and being a female. It wasn't cool for me. It wasn't okay for me. And it took me a long time to embrace. My mom, who y'all know has passed, if you've been watching this, used to call me Pumpkin. It's my cheeks. And so she would always tell me, like, walk with your head up. I would walk with my head down, and just have very, very, very low self-esteem. And now, shoot, y'all see my hair's cut off. Like, I remember when I didn't want to cut my hair off. This was the most freeing thing, and I've cut it off and let it grow and cut it off again. Who knows? It's purple, it's red, it's blonde. Like, I am who I am, and either you like me or you don't. So it took a long time, though, for me to get there. And there's still some parts of me that I don't feel are completely healed when it comes to, like, self-esteem. But I'm so much better, thank God. In 47, I should be than I was. So Danya or Ashley, what do you all feel, or what's your self-esteem story? Either way.
Mine was I was skinny, and people can't believe that. I was really, really skinny. They used to joke and say they couldn't tell my front from my back, and that's how small I was. Even after I had both of my sons, I still was small. But at 24, I ended up having to have a hysterectomy, so my metabolism changed. So I started gaining weight. I was like, okay, it was good. I wanted the little chest and all that, but I got a whole lot chest and everything. So I went through that phase. But I still have that self-esteem problem because of the weight that I put on from when I was small. I just wanted to be in the middle. Could I just be in the middle? And then I went through the thing being dark skinned in school and had long hair. So, the stages, the skin color, the light skinned girls didn't care too much for me. The dark skinned girls didn't care too much for me because I had long hair. So it was like, in one year, one girl sat behind me in school and she actually cut my ponytail. So I went through a lot. Yeah. So it was like, yeah, but I'm still building myself up, getting my body to where I want it to be, and I'm starting to be more comfortable with myself. But yeah, I was skinny. My granddaddy used to call me string bean. So, but that he could call me that. That was the nickname I accepted from that, and I'm gonna always be his string bean.
Yeah, I identify, well, I was never skinny, but I wasn't, as big as I am now. My story was I was dark skinned. Went to a pretty diverse elementary school in PG County. I was in the TAG program, talented and gifted program. And so my friends in elementary school were like, I had some black friends, but I had some white friends and some Asian friends. And I distinctly remember in fourth grade, one of my Asian friends was like, actually, it's as dark as asphalt. And I was just like, I'm looking at the asphalt and looking at myself, not quite that dark, but I internalized that message. And so I did grow up having a complex around um, my skin color, my complexion. I also come from a long line of women who develop heavy and develop fast. And so by the time I was 12 or 13, I was more heavy chested than most grown women. And my body developed at a much faster rate than a lot of my friends. And so I'm like approaching size 8, 10 in middle school because I got, I wasn't big, but I had chest and I had hips and a little bitty butt. But it was I had a woman's body. And that was something that my mom tried to do a really good job at preparing me for because she was the same way. And in eighth grade, some of my friends decided to give me a nickname, Big D, which was a nod to my brow size. Um, and it created complexes around how I viewed myself. Not knowing that, when I was in middle school and high school, like I had a body that was enviable by some grown women were wishing they had that particular body. Not the one I have right now. We're working on that. But at that time, like I had a body that was enviable. And also growing up in church, there's the whole, modesty conversation, which I'm not going to go too much into that, but it didn't help. It didn't help that it was encouraged for me to hide my body. Now, I'm not saying I should have been out here just looking, however, or looking, older than what I was. But like I grew up with, my mom, when we went clothes shopping, there was no going clothes shopping without my mama. And if I bought something home, like outside of that, I had to try it on so that it was acceptable. Now, my parents didn't have me in like long jean skirts and everything like that, but there was a complex around what you put on your body and how you presented your body in front of other people, right? Because of this modesty culture in the church. And so it took me a long time to appreciate certain things about my body that I should have appreciated then, but just didn't know that I could, that I had permission to be okay with, like, this is my body, this is how I look, and there's nothing wrong with it. So yeah, I was always known as the smart friend. To this day, like the first thing that people associate me with is my brain, which is lovely, right? It sounds like it's goals, and it is. Um, but at the same time, I have gorgeous friends, and so growing up, you know, when people would say, oh, such and such is so pretty, such and such is so pretty, Ashley's so smart. And I'm like, am I not pretty? You know, and so I really had to, and still have to, do a lot of work around it, because then what happens when you have low self-esteem, you start wordsmithing. So then when people start using word like beautiful, like people don't say Ashley's fine or Ashley's pretty, they say Ashley's beautiful. So is that like a euphemism for, you know, ugly? And you do that a lot when you have, you know, when you've kind of been conditioned to believing that there are things about you that are at a deficit. Like you have certain things going for yourself and other things maybe not so much. So that's my story in a nutshell.
I look at the young ladies now, and when you were talking about the clothing and all of that, I look at them now and I think about that. Oh, I couldn't wear that when I was her age or something like that. My mother wouldn't allow that to happen. And their bodies are so developed now that it is crazy. I'm like, okay, what's in the water? What are you feeding? And I look at my little cousins as well. And I'm like, no, you need to go behind a curtain and just stay there. I just want them to stay little. I'm serious, because it drives me crazy. And their bodies are so developed at this age. And I'm like, look, I can't handle this. I need y'all to go sit down somewhere. But it's hard, and I wonder how they feel about it. But to me, I look at it sometimes and say, well, I see how they're dressing and sometimes like that. And I say, I wish I had their confidence at that age, because a lot of them are very confident, but it's also scary at the same time.
It's funny that you said that, because I thought about, I don't know which one y'all brought up the whole bra thing. I was wearing a bra summer of third grade going into fourth. And I remember going to work with my mom. She was a nurse. And so an adult actually was teasing me because I had on a bra. We had gone on, and she was looking at our summer pictures, and she was teasing me because I had breasts so young. And, you know, then I don't think I really realized how affected by it. Like, that was the beginning. And then I got teased in school. Well, actually, I saw some boys tease a female student. I think she had the bra in her bag or something, because she was going to sport, like playing a sport after school or something. They pulled it out, but I was like, I'm not telling them that I'm in, you know, we were like sisters, but I wasn't going to say anything because I wasn't happy about it. And, you know, I became very fully endowed, like triple, like it, I'm like, and the stuff that goes along with that. But when I lost weight, I did lose some of the bra size too, but they still large. You know, I don't know if I'll ever see single digits again in my life, even while exercising. But I don't know if can y'all see my shirt? Let me try to, I just want to, there's a reason why I'm saying that. So this week it says Black women are dope. Shout out to my girl Keisha, who went to Coolidge with me, and this is Black Lives Matter in School Week. And so I wore this because we had Until Freedom and I think it's the Palm Collective on. They were guest speakers for our assembly today. And I know they do a lot of stuff with the, you know, slogan, Black women are dope. And when you all are talking, that's just, I was like, this is perfect. Like, I wasn't tying it into this, but we are dope, regardless of what size, what shape, you know, what skin color, how our hair is, tall, short, fat, whatever, you know, we have to learn to embrace the skin we're in. But I say that with the caveat, because even though I now embrace the skin I'm in, I'm still not the size I would like to be. And so I realized I had the biggest epiphany. Anybody that watched the show last week, we were talking about the difference between making time and having time. I realized that I wasn't making time for me to be the best me. And so now, even if you've been watching this, I've talked about the insomnia. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, if I'm tired, guess what I do? I get up and I exercise. And I am making time for me. And that's every day now, because I'm a priority. And so even when it comes to the mental health messages, the other people said things about us that might trigger, which we're also going to talk about today, or triggers. I have to realize that, you know, how Ashley was saying, I had to work on that. I had to work on being okay with whatever it is that you are. I had to work on the fact, like, unless I don't have limbs, which I don't want, that's the alternative, I'm going to be tall until, like, you know, gravity hits and I shrink. even then I'll probably still be taller than most of the average people, size people, I know. So I had to be okay. This is me. This is who God created me to be. And, I'm good with it. But it took a long time for me to be okay. Another thing is adult acne. Now you probably can't see as much, like it's very minimal, but it's horrible. And we talked about this, I think, on the first one we had. And I think that that's another thing that can really shoot your self-esteem down. I literally look, I'm like, man, their skin is so pretty. I've talked about, like, I definitely talked to Ashley about that when she mentioned, I'm like, I wish I had such pretty clear skin. Mine don't want to listen to me, no matter how much water I'm drinking. And I had 80 ounces of water yesterday, which is huge for me. And it's not help. So what do you do when you are working on yourself and it's still not working? Or, what do y'all do?
Me personally, and I'm learning this, like, this whole process is nothing but a journey for me. I'm learning to not be hard on myself. And that's the biggest thing. I was always hard on myself. And then when people come to me, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. But in the back of my head, I'm like, look, I wish I was asleep. That's what I really want to be doing, or something like that. But I'm learning not to be hard on myself. And that was my biggest problem. And in so many ways, when you're hard on yourself, it's like you're putting yourself down along. So, and we are our biggest critics and our hardest critics. So I'm learning not to do that. I write down what I want to do and set those boundaries to do it. And that's pretty much it. I stopped being hard on myself.
Just when you said that, just before you say something, Ashley, we not just hard on ourselves, but we also putting down God, because he said we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And sometimes I have to put that in perspective. If he made me this way, and I'm not talking about, like, I've never seen necessarily, like, I've seen chubby babies, what I'm saying? Most of them grow out of it. So yes, I don't think that it's that he created us wanting to be unhealthy or obese, or in that sense. Some of it is ourselves. Sometimes it's genetics. It's different reasons why people, end up being the size that they are. But I'm talking about the stuff that we can help. But if he's created the things he's created, like if he made you light skinned, then be light skinned. If he's created you dark skinned, don't bleach. You know what I'm saying? If he's created whatever it is he created, if he didn't give you long hair, then it's okay. You're still beautiful. You know what I mean? Some people wish that they had different things. Like, I don't like tracks. I don't think I'll ever wear them. That's just me. But I will. I've had my hair in braids, believe it or not. Some people are probably surprised about that. To each his own. I think it's a difference from wanting to enhance and then change. Two different things, in my opinion. What y'all think?
That's true. Because if y'all know me, every Saturday morning, Donnie was at the hairdresser. So since this pandemic, I've learned, and you see where my hair is, it's slicked down, got my gray spot. I'm loving it. I wouldn't do anything without getting my hair done. I wasn't going anywhere without getting my hair done, and everybody knew that. I'll throw some lipstick on, some makeup, and my hair is slicked down. I'm loving it. So
Go on, Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to your previous question or point, one of the things that I've been trying my best to do in the last couple of years is unlearn shame around things that don't need to have shame around them. And I've said this, and I might get some people upset. I don't think no institution teaches shame like the church. And while I think that there are things that we should be, definitely cognizant of about ourselves, and we should definitely be self-aware about things that we need to do better, things that we shouldn't do, and the like. What happens is it builds this shame complex about everything, to the point, and specifically for women, around their bodies and how they look, right? I don't hear a lot of talk about guys who are overweight. Now, sometimes people will say something, he getting kind of big. But in my experience, and I've been in the church my whole life, like a guy has to be really, really like pushing a certain threshold in order for people to really talk. But for women, everything is seen through the lens of, as far as our appearance, everything is seen through the lens of you know, what we have as far as our body is concerned, or what we wear, and how it connects to the male gaze, or what it does to the men that are around us. And because of that, I think that a lot of us have had to deal with, and it's not something that just happens in the church, but I speak from the church standpoint because that's where I got a lot of it myself. So I'm only speaking for myself. But it kind of puts us in a place where, you know, we experience shame and guilt around things that we absolutely don't need to experience shame and guilt around. If the natural um, inclination of my body is for me to be a little bit heavier, um, or whatever the case may be, then that's how my genetics are. I don't think that I need to feel ashamed that, you know, my genetics wrote me as heavier chested and not skinny. It's just not for me. Now, it's not to say that I can't lose the weight, but what happens is that we end up, one, not being able to see ourselves in the image of God unless we get to a certain point. And I think we spend a lot of time trying to work towards other ends, instead of learning how to hold a couple of things in tension at the same time, right? Because more than one thing can be true at the same time. I can enjoy and appreciate the things, certain things about my body, and I can still recognize that there are areas that I have that need to that I can do better with, right? Me at the weight that I am right now is not optimal for my health, right? I can acknowledge that, but that can also say, like, even though I acknowledge that, like, I can appreciate that, you know, I feel like I have a pretty nice body, or, you know, I have a pretty face, or whatever the case may be. But I think that the way in which we talk about things, specifically our bodies, is that we talk in either or language, right? So, like, either you look good, you don't. Either, you know, you have a nice body shape, you don't. You know, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And all those things, I believe, are subjective. And so the work that I've had to do, and I'm still doing, is I've had to consciously put myself in a position where I allow myself to feel the impact of the ways in which I've carried shame and guilt as far as myself is concerned. So, for instance, I've worn glasses since I was in second grade. Okay, and I had them thick glasses. You can probably see my glasses kind of thick now because my vision ain't all that great. My mama gave me that, and so that is just where we are. But there was a time in my life where, when I first started wearing contacts, that you wouldn't catch me in glasses again, because it was just like, I finally got past, having to wear glasses or whatever. And of course, like, when I was growing up, wearing glasses wasn't popular. So it was just like, everybody had them really messed up glasses. But so now, like, I challenge myself to wear my glasses, with certain things. Plus, I ain't been to the eye doctor and I tore up my last contact. But anyway, I'm okay with that. Or I have mentioned before, I think it was on the last show, about one of my cheeks is darker than the other. And that is something that happened when I was 7 years old, fell down the stairs, hit my face. I've gone to the dermatologist. I went to the dermatologist as a teenager. I wore my glasses to cover that. So I convinced myself that wearing glasses would kind of cover up, so that wouldn't be the first thing that you noticed about me. When I started wearing contacts, I went back to the dermatologist, like, can you give me, and all they would do for me was give me this cream that basically would lighten the skin right there. And I used it for a little bit, and then I stopped using it, because I had to ask myself, what is the purpose of me wanting to do this? Is it from a place of insecurity, or is it simply because, I want all of my skin on my face to be even? And at this particular point, the reason why I would want to use the cream is because I still feel very insecure about knowing that, hey, you know, I have this cheek, one of my cheeks is darker than the other. I remember, and I think I said this last time, like one of my former coworkers, like she saw me one day and I guess it was more prominent to her that day than the other day. And she was like, what happened to your face? My heart dropped. My feelings were so hurt. I think I went home and cried. I held it in all day, but I went home and cried because her reaction was so like, oh my God, like you would have thought somebody hit me in my face. And I was like, yo, like, is it that prominent? You know, like, oh my God. And of course, you know, I started up using the cream again because I'm like, I got to get rid of this. And so what I had to do is start challenging the things that I have, the insecurities that I have around my body. I had to start challenging those. Okay, what is my motivation behind wanting to change these things? Is it healthy or is it unhealthy? Like went and got fit for my wedding dress. It fits perfectly like a glove. I'm not going to say who said this to me because I don't want them to be misunderstood. Someone close to me said, yeah, you know, and all you got to do is just lose just a little bit more around your waist and it'll be, girl, it hurt because of who it came from. And I was just like, yeah, you know, I'm gonna be snatched up, you know, I'm gonna be ready. But I'm not going to lose weight just for my wedding. And so until I get my mind right about why I need to lose weight, then I'm not going to put any energy into it, but I'm also going to hold myself accountable. So I went to the doctor last month. Sis got to lose some weight. Okay, for my health, I can do this. But I'm not going to lose some weight to fit into a wedding dress. I'm not going to lose weight so that other people can feel comfortable about how I look or so that I can meet other people's ideals. And I think that is really where we have to really come to grips with a lot of the messages that we receive, whether it's in the church or outside of the church, society, whatever. We really have to come to grips with a lot of those messages and really press to see that if we are seeking to operate in a way that is going to solve a problem, we have to make sure that we're solving the right problem.
But Ashley, you hit a lot of, we can't say like triggers or whatever, when you're speaking about your wedding dress and stuff like that. So I need to update my pictures, but I don't want to take my pictures because I don't feel comfortable in what I want to wear, or the fact that I want to do a certain picture for my birthday. My son's like, Mommy, you look fine. What is your problem? So that's me being hard on myself and saying, okay, I know I do. So I've been taking these pictures, mind you, since last year. So that means I'm fighting myself, but I know I need to get healthy. I know I need to lose the weight, but it goes back. Am I losing the weight so I can look this way, or am I losing the weight for the right reason? So I understand, trust me.
And I also know myself, like if I'm losing the weight to get into the wedding dress, then August 30th, after the wedding, I'm eating everything in sight because I know myself. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where self-awareness comes in. Like, you got to know what you're dealing with. And if I'm not seeking to solve the right problem, then I create another problem.
And that goes back, I'm sorry, Lisa.
No, go on.
Me as well, because I'm a diabetic, so I'm taking insulin. Now I'm on other medicines for other things. So that's why I need to get healthy. And once I get my mind focused on that, everything will be fine. Instead of worrying about what I'm looking like in this, I'm worried about it. So I can be around for my grandkids, my kids, and that's how I have to look at it.
Absolutely. Like I said, it took me a long time. I've heard people talk about how they go to the gym, they do X, Y, and Z, and they're getting fit. And blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, yeah, I don't have time. I've said that. And I actually really did do a lot of exercise, and I always played sports and etc., whatever. And yet, when it came to being consistent, finally, like I realized it was just all an excuse that I was not willing to. I was covering up for myself. It was easier for me to say I don't have time than to get up. I was already up. I was watching TV, or I was watching a game, or I was playing or doing something, talking on the phone. Man, I got a pretend treadmill. It's called my feet in the floor. And now it doesn't matter. Every day, every single day, I couldn't do 10,000 steps because I'm in the house. Like, it's not that many places I can go. At least I don't do outside. Just saying. So what I did decide to do, though, is go ahead and make sure that, what I do have, because it wasn't always equipment. It wasn't always exercise equipment. I don't know that my grandmother had, a treadmill to walk on when she was, what I'm saying? No, that's not the case. So we make all these excuses for not doing whatever. So you are right, Ashley. It's almost like you have to tell yourself when you're willing to admit whatever it is. But I think that that's part of the issue. We got to be willing to admit whatever it is. And that epiphany for me was just like, oh my gosh, you are fat because you've been lazy. And I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about Lisa Gilliam. And, my cousin's my trainer now, Ryan, shout out to Ryan Bell. And he had just been talking, just a few weeks prior, talking about exercise. And, he goes to the gym and and he's committed to doing whatever. And he's good with it. And he was just like, you got to make the time. And I literally in my head was just like, I don't have time. I said the exact same thing I hear thousands of people say. It goes not just for that, but like makeup. Y'all know I'm a makeup person, and the girls will probably laugh because I'm mad because my color, it was a bar. But y'all see the purple on my shirt. It was this purple, and it would not go on right. And so I don't like being on camera right now without lipstick. Y'all know I'm the lipstick person. Like if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you always gonna see my lipstick. Not because I'm trying to change anything, but I love lipstick. Everybody say it. I love lipstick. So, I'm like, what color is that? And so, but it's so part of me feels like naked because now I got literally 120 shades and probably 20 purples. So it's not like I couldn't have just picked another thing, but it didn't do what I wanted to do. So it was like, okay, we were still a little bit late because that was my fault because I had to wipe it off because I wasn't going to look here crazy. But I'm just saying it all goes into what, I hear people say, I don't have time to do my makeup in the morning. Oh, you do. You just choose not to get up earlier or whatever. We have our own issues with self-esteem. So for me, having on my lipstick makes me feel better. I am insta happy if it's a bomb shade. So that's just me. So that's one of the things that, helps my self-esteem. What about triggers though? What do you all do about those? Or are some of the things that you had self-esteem issues with, do they cause the triggers that you now have?
I just want to start off by saying that Heroin by MAC, like I was just talking to my friend Dre about this last night. Someone posted on Twitter a picture of Heroin and Ruby Woo, and they were like, yo, this had black girl.
You gotta explain the shades. I need you to tell me like what they do.
Heroin is the purple shade by MAC, and Ruby Woo was the red shade. It's like the go-to red shade for MAC. Okay. And a couple years ago, like everybody was either wearing one or the other. Well, not everybody, but a whole bunch of us, like Black women had them two shades on lock. And Heroin was mine because purple was my favorite color. So I understand the lipstick makes me feel better because you can be feeling like crap, and for me, when I was wearing my contacts, put some mascara on, put a lip on, I'm good. And thank God I finally hit a place in my life where my skin is cooperating at least somewhat, outside of just the general darker cheek. But triggers for me, it's not at this particular point. I don't think for me it's anything like that I can really point out. I think one of the things that I realized about myself is I'm just extremely picky about how I look in videos and pictures. So generally speaking, like when we get off of here, I'm not going to go back and rewatch this because I'm going to focus in on, not because I don't enjoy it, I'm going to sit there the whole time and point out how my face looks asymmetrical, and this dumb lisp that I have right now because my cheeks are hurting, and any number of things I can sit there and just pick apart. Or if someone posts a picture of me that was candid or something, I hate candid photos. So like it'll send me into like so it's been interesting even going through this, like the wedding planning process, because I've started to fascinate on how I will actually look on that day. And I have to kind of stop myself to be like, yo, like you can't go down that road.
That's that part when I was talking about being
Yeah.
hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
It goes back to that being hard on ourselves. So I'm like you with the hair. Mine's is hair and shoes. Give me my hair done and my shoes. Oh, I feel $1,000,000. There you go. So that's what it is. You're being hard on yourself again. And like I said, we're harder on our own selves than most people are.
Can I, because, I wouldn't be your sis if I didn't, and I'm not saying tomorrow, but maybe by the time this whole year's over, since we do it every month, I challenge you to actually do that? Like to look at, because you're beautiful.
Thank you.
I was about to break out in the song, but I'm not going to sing today. Well, maybe I will because we got a little bit more time. But, the point is, I think that part of us growing is being able to embrace our flaws too. Like if I could be naked right now, join me, join the party. But this is not forcing you. I'm just, it would be nice.
No, it's a calling in, and I appreciate that, right? The counselors, I'm not calling you out, I'm calling you in. Call you in.
I'm joining.
Yes, I now I do better. Like I've wanted to. I had to speak for my church on Sunday. I wanted to go back and look at that. I have not yet. But I have told myself that I need to do a better job at not being afraid to see myself on camera or see myself speaking. And so I do plan to go back, and what I will say is by the next time we go live on March 3rd, that I will go back and look at this replay. So that's how we do it in counseling, right? Okay, so you're going to do it. Okay, so when?
Set a goal, move towards the goal. Look, this is funny too because Ashley is usually one telling me, like, so why don't you look at it this way, Lisa? Instead of thinking about it, like usually I'm in tears by that time. And she's usually telling me that she is. Look, Ashley is the bomb in so many facets. You package.
Thank you. But that's how I feel about you two ladies when I first met you. So learning so much about you when you're talking about how your insecurities, every time I see you guys and I've been around you, I've always said, I wish I had their confidence, not nervous to get up there to do this, not nervous to get up there and do that. They're so pretty. So when I hear this from y'all, it's truly amazing, but it's a good journey. And I'm blessed to be around women like you too, that are comfortable with opening up like that, sharing and being vulnerable. Because a lot of women need to hear stuff like this because we need to, one, embrace each other. And I've done this. I have no problem complimenting women. I remember one day I was walking up the street and the girl was walking toward me, but she had her head down. And I said, baby, you look so beautiful. Pick your head up. And the smile that just came over her face. So you never know what she was going through, but it helped her. And that's the same thing with you guys. Like I said, when I've been around you, I've seen y'all speak. I interact with people. It's like I wish I had that confidence. But then other people come to me and say, "Hey, you are confident. You could do this." But it goes back to what I keep saying. We're always hard on ourselves more than we should be.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny. I'm gonna say something. Y'all just wanted. I be ready to pee on myself every time I gotta to do something. I know that's very. I know. Please be patient with me. The Lord ain't through me yet. But I'm gonna just be real with you. I don't know if my bladder function is going to give on me every time I got to do something.
Lisa, we can't hear you.
Yeah, every single time.
All right, I said,
wow.
No, PG, they let us know when we can sign up for the vaccination. And I finally decided, because I'm tired of not being around people. So that's what I was doing. Just in case y'all, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to fill this out now because it's like spots go quickly. And they were all.
Yeah. Please,
just so you know. So if you got to use the bathroom, use the bathroom. It's random but real. LOG, random but real. And we don't know what's going to happen. Random but real. That's why it's impromptu. Y'all, we don't practice this. Just in case y'all wondered. We didn't know what each person was going to say. They asked for a topic, came up with the topic, and then we go. And it's whatever we want to share. And if they don't want to share something, they don't have to share it. But yeah, you gotta use bathrooms.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's how nervous that I am when I have these things.
Yes.
So it's amazing how we come across the people. And in my head, I'm like, I know they can tell that I'm nervous and that, and people are like, no, you just, and I'm like, did we experience the same thing?
Were you right there? Like when but you know what? The way you feel about your singing, that's how I feel about my singing. I never said I was the best, but I must be something because I get paid to do it. Like people are not going to pay for no trash. So I had to tell myself that. But I got plenty of other vocalists that are 50,000 times better than me. And so I don't like to hear my voice for real. And so I actually like to hear my speaking voice more than my singing voice. And so I went back one day. I was like, I like my writing though. I like my songs, like the words in the songs, because I'm a writer and a poet. And so I was like, this is actually good. Like I have to get over whatever it is that I feel, because my friend told me, I will never forget this. And this is also because of esteem. When I was younger, I was a music major at Virginia University. And we had to do these I guess our tests basically were to perform in front of people. And so we had to do German and Latin, Italian, whatever, French, whatever the songs were that they gave us, spirituals, whatever. And I literally would get on stage. I may not be nervous when I first get up there, but when you talk about, you thought I was running a race to get off, I would dart off the stage. And even until I was singing at my friend's wedding and another friend was there with me. And he was like, I sang. And like, they would be like, Lisa, you were so, I'd be like, no, I wasn't. I would turn them down. No, that wasn't good. Oh, I could have done better. It was awful. He was like, when you do that, you discount the fact that we know what we like, first of all. Huge lesson. And then he's like, it makes us seem like we don't know what is good or not good, or what we appreciate or don't appreciate. And it doesn't make us want to embrace, like, basically the talent. Benny Johnson, if you ever watched this, that's who it was. And I was like, oh my gosh. You were talking about slaps in the face basically earlier. That's what that was. When we don't say thank you, when someone is saying that because it's really easy for me not to give you a compliment if I didn't like it. Like, right. It don't cost me nothing just to walk on by you. So if I'm taking the time to say it, then I actually really mean it. Are there some fake people? Absolutely. Some people may not mean whatever it is. That's fine. But, you could say please and thank you. Mm-hmm. Words get us so far. And even if we thought we were the worst ever, or our esteem is low because we're dealing with our own stuff, our own crap, we could still say thank you to the people who are acknowledging, because it takes a lot to do what we do. First, I know this platform is not easy for everybody. Some people my girlfriend in December, she was just like, we not going to talk about, we going to talk about? No, we're not. And I know it's uncomfortable, but it's to provide a place where we can just share and have conversations without wondering, it's no pressure there. And if you don't want to talk about it, don't. But we got to move past our own isms and schisms, our personal ones. We do this. I know you two do, for the purpose of helping other people. That's why we're health advocates. That's
Yeah.
why we share our own stories about suicide and thoughts and prevention and depression and anxiety and whatever else, PTSD. Like, I'm naming all my stuff. I'm saying some of y'all stories too. We do this because we care. We don't want people to suffer. But how are we ever going to get to that place where we heal if we don't do it together? Like, you know what I'm saying? Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, community is absolutely, and this is something that recently I've just really been harping on. Like, there is no mental wellness without community. Community, it's a community based ideal, and we really, and the ways in which we combat those automatic negative thoughts, those ants, right? Those scripts that we already have playing in our head is to operate in community so that you can have a Benny call you out and be like, relax, right? Because you're not going to ever get better at it unless you have someone call you out, or some people prefer the terminology call you in, right? Which has a softer kind of, instead of me being like, Lisa, get yourself together, it's more like, Lisa, consider this. So that's the difference between like a call out and call in, right? But those automatic negative thoughts, that's why they're called automatic. We have them be like they jump into action before we can even like consider consider what was said. Like, I don't care what you're saying. This is already how I feel. And that's why it takes us being in community, having these conversations, so that we're strengthened to a point where we can come up with healthy coping mechanisms that will help us to combat those automatic negative thoughts as they come into our heads. And so then we can flip the script, right? We can change the pattern of thinking. We can change how we interpret what people say, so that I don't have to tell myself negative things because I'm afraid of someone else saying those negative things. Because for me, that's what it's kind of been. It's like, if I say to myself the worst thing, then any kind of criticism or any type of bad thing that I might hear from somebody else won't hurt as bad. Like, what kind of unhealthy happening or functioning is that you tear yourself down thinking that if I tear myself down, then when other people tear me down, inevitably that it's not going to hurt as bad. And the strange thing is, it never stops the hurt. If you get a criticism or if someone says something about you that's not, ideal or whatever, it still hurts. It hurts worse. You know what I mean? But we convince ourselves of these things. We or a lot of people in the church be fake humble because you're supposed to be humble, right? So if someone says you did a good job, you be like, it's all God. But you can say thank you. You can say,
praise the Lord, thank you very much.
We don't, God is not going to be upset if you don't be like, oh, it's all God. He's not going to be like, now, Eshy, you were supposed to say it's all God. You know that next time, like, he's not going to do that, because God is a good father. And he knows what gifts he's given us. And he actually sends people sometimes to remind us, like, what you have in you is good. It's good, girl. You look good. You sound good. You look blessed, as my dude would say, right? You look blessed. Like, and so, like, we miss those opportunities, or we squander those opportunities where God is sending us like those love moments, those hugs from him to say, yo, like, you're seen. You're special. You are talented. You're beautiful. You're, whatever the case may be. And so I think, to Lisa's point, like, it's absolutely necessary for us to be in community and remain in community so that we can be built up. And sometimes that building up is a calling in.
That is true. And actually, what you're saying to me sounds like I'm always saying to myself, I'm in my own head, and sometimes I need to get out of it and need to get out of my own way sometimes, because we do that a lot, whether we realize it or not. And that has helped me too. It's like, okay, darn, I need you to get out your own head. This is, and then what we were called to do, and I have to get to that point as well, is that it's really no longer about me. It's about helping others, to show them that you can do this. You can do this. We did it. We conquered it. We did it, and we can get out our own way. So
What both of y'all are saying just reminds me of why it's so important for people to seek counseling. Because a lot of times we go to our friends who are not equipped or prepared to even talk about most of the topics. And, again, we love the church, growing up in the church, all like to, but a lot of ministers, pastors are not prepared to actually deal with some of the major mental health issues, that come about. And so, the Bible even talks about, seeking counsel, whatever, and the multitude of counselors there safely. I took that literally. Like, even when I applied to GW, like that was the scripture that I used when I applied to get into George Washington. So I believe in going to counselors, actual, literal, figuratively, and also actual physical counselors, but also people of wisdom. And sometimes that's not in my friends. Sometimes that's not in my family. Sometimes that's in a professional who doesn't know anything about me, who can't judge me because they don't know me. And they're just open, they're listening to whatever. And also, when you talk about community, Ashley, it's so important because a lot of times we get depressed and anxious when we're not in community, when we don't have our friends or our family or somebody else that may be wiser than us in that situation to be able to, spit things off of and be like, well, what do you think about this? Blah, blah, blah. And, I know sometimes people get upset when they, like we were saying, we're not going to always agree. We're three different individual people with three different individual paths, even though we have a lot of similarities. But if we're open in our discussion and whatever it is that we're talking about, and y'all gotta keep joining us because we coming up with some real topics. It's gonna be woo. So just to see where we come from and how our psyche, the way we're born, the things that we've been taught as children, how that plays a part into who we are. Like my dad died a week before my senior year in high school, and so I'll never know what it's like to have my father walk me down the aisle. Like, that's just never, ever, ever going to happen no matter what. And as that's another thing that sometimes it would trigger me when I would go to weddings and, I'm just like, I would actually leave during the dance. So, if that does happen, just know it's not, I don't love you. It's just, it triggers me because it reminds me of the fact that my dad's deceased. I'm just saying. So that is specific to Ashley. She's the next person I know getting married. But I try to stay. I try to, but sometimes it really overwhelms me. And it's just like, I can't believe that I won't have that experience, because that's what little girl doesn't grow up wanting her dad to walk her down the aisle who wants to get married. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think about these triggers. I think about the things that we were raised. I think all these things, your father's supposed to be your first love. That's what I was always taught. He's the one that grooms you to let you know that you are, loved and you're cared for. I love to hear about daddy-daughter dates. And, I took my baby girls out to such and such, whatever, spending time, or vice versa. It's important to spend time with family and embrace, and not just necessarily your nuclear family or nucleus family, but nucleus family, but extended, family. Like, I don't have anybody else. Like, my brother has his own family. So yeah, I've attached on and latched on to a lot of people's families. You know what I'm saying? You meet me to your parents, they become my parents. Like, but I agree, we do need community, and know that, that's how we find out that we're not alone, even when we feel alone. That's how, when we're at our worst and whoever said something to trigger us or whatever, when we have somebody that we can actually confide in, that they really have your back, and that they're not going, even when it comes to saying, what, I thought about killing myself yesterday. I want somebody around me. Thank God that's not my story, right now, but it has been. I want somebody around me that's going to be there for me, for real, and not talk about me or say that I'm crazy because that's a thought, you know what I'm saying, that I had. I want to know that the suicide hotline number, or at least have Google so you can look it up, or that to call the mobile crisis, or that hey, somebody that I can talk to, and that you also are going to pray for me, and you know what I mean, and be there for me. And I can honestly say that you two have done that. Like, I probably cried to both y'all about different situations, whatever, and you've been there, and I appreciate. I'm not ashamed to say, like, I'm a crier. My name is Lisa Gilliam. I'm 47 and I cry. So, but thank God God has put people in my life, even when I felt so alone and I felt like nobody cared and nobody was there, that I could just say, hey, this is a situation. And would you call it, the calling in? Ashley does that really well, y'all. So, I'm just waiting for her to get her practice. I can't see her because she's my friend. Into some situations, and then Danya too. She's an encourager. Like Danya's the person to have your back pocket, because if you're sad, you're not gonna be sad by the year you Danya Parker. By the time you finish talking to her, she'll be like, "But you did this and this and this is about it that and da da da." Like that's what you need. So get some Danyas and some Ashleys in your life, okay? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got my Ashley and my Lisa, so yeah, I understand. I truly understand.
No, you definitely spoke to the importance of having, support, and that will look different for everybody. Unfortunately, the world that we live in, things happen, um, and unexpectedly, and some of us, have more ready-made support systems than others of us, and that is an unfortunate circumstance. And some of us have to do more searching for support than others of us do. So I want to acknowledge that. I know that is a privilege that I have. I have a very already well built support system from my nuclear family, my parents who have just been from the beginning,
I'm joining up.
No, I say nuclear.
nuclear.
No, I say nuclear too, and I just be like, well, you just gonna have to take this nuclear family. We're Jimmy Neutron over here. But that is an important point, and that's something that, as Lisa said, sometimes you will get triggered. And one thing that I want to know about triggers don't you can get to a point where you can guess your triggers pretty well. But there will be some times where you're triggered and you don't see it coming, and certainly don't want to deal with it in that moment. And just as Lisa said, I've had moments at weddings for different reasons. I'm blessed to be in the position I am, but I'm gonna be 34 in July. There was a point in my life where it was just like, all right, well, I guess this is not happening for me. And I had to come to some real truths about, okay, if things don't happen the way I see them happening, how am I going to be? So just wanted to acknowledge that, Lisa, and say that, because support systems are one of those things where I recognize my privilege. And so I know I don't have to work as hard for support. And I'm grateful that I do have the support, but that's not everyone's story. And like Lisa said, that's not her story, And so wherever you are, in the ways in which you can cultivate a support system, and you have people that you can kind of bring in to fill in some of those gaps. Obviously, I can't be Lisa's mom. I can't be Lisa's father, right? But I can find my place in Lisa's support system where I can fill in some gaps. That's what I can do. I can be some sand. I can, get up in there and get in some of the cracks and crevices. I may not be able to fill the whole bottle, right? And so understanding that as long as you're using the supports that you find, not as a substitute, but as a way to help fill the puzzle, however it's going to look. So that's just one.
I've learned something that was very hard to through my journey, that even though they've been in your life for a long period of time, does not mean that that's your support system. Everybody has a different role. So I've learned that, I'm not going to say it didn't hurt, and it did hurt, but I'm learning to deal with it. So I'm not triggered. I learn my boundaries. I know, okay, this is where I fit in this part in your life, this, that, and other. And like I said, the length of time doesn't mean it, because look how long I've known you two. And I think y'all might know, especially you, Lisa, might know more of my feelings than some of my friends from 30 years ago and stuff like that. So that at time, and you could tell when it's genuine as well. You can really tell that.
Absolutely. So just in case y'all were wondering, I put this up here. We are available to be booked for your events. And so if you're interested, you can go here. This is on my website, on all of our websites, Rock for Life Foundation or Master and Mind Matters. You're able to find the same or booking form to book us collectively. And so we want to come, and you can even, like I said, go to my website. There's more information about Stigma Breaker Collective. And we're so thankful that you all, decided to join us. Danya or Ashley, do you all have something else coming up near, close by, I should say?
I don't have the Mastering Mind Matters Symposium for March is in the works. I don't want to kind of say what it is because I haven't got everything. But by the next time we come on March 3rd, I should be able to have more information.
Okay. What about you? Danya is like the outreach queen. I'm just letting y'all know.
Yeah, she
I have to have a clothing drive. That's it.
I need to drive. I'm going to got some kind of award. What award was it?
I know, yeah, you did just win an award. What was that?
Hero award. But actually, you should have gotten a letter because that was when I took the boat bags.
Oh no, I didn't get anything.
So I'm gonna follow up with him. I should have asked you a while ago, but that's when that was the place that I took the boat bags to. You should have gotten something as well. So I'll reach out to him.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
No problem. But right now, just the clothing drive, and they're gonna just take some stuff to the women's shelter this weekend. That's it.
Okay. And so you can find out more. I'm so on the website. Y'all know I'm a vocalist and a poet, and so please go buy my CD. I'm so serious. I hard copy's fine, but I want to sell out. They're $10. You go to my website, lisalgilliam.com, and purchase them. Or if you don't want to get the hard copies, I am on every music platform, pretty much Tidal, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify. I was putting them together, Pandora. You name it, I'm there. Apple Music, iTunes. So if you have all those services or any of those services, please go ahead and add Lisa L. Gilliam. What you say? You say
Lisa, I gave one to my aunt and my grandmother. My grandmother is 93. She loves your CD, and my aunt been playing and it's so loud. He said I can put a song on there now.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a few people watching today who have purchased it. Thank you all for your support. We also need your support in letting other people know that we're here. The Stigma Breakers Collective is here. We are alive and well. I meant to say this earlier, but we got into the conversation. Please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube page because this is the main place where we do this. It's also shown on Twitch and also on Facebook. But if you're going to share it on Facebook, please go ahead and share the YouTube link on Facebook because this is what we're trying to build up. Honestly, building towards monetization, and you need, a certain amount of hours, 4,000 watch hours, which I have, but you need 1,000 subscriptions. And I know more than 1,000 people. And so, you know what? I don't even care if you watch it every week or every month. Please just go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. Tell people about the Stigma Breakers Collective. We decided not to do a separate website or social media page because all three of us are really busy in what we do individually, but we are collective in it. And when it comes to this, and we would love to come to your events, etc. So like I said, please, follow us on there. And then I also sell doTERRA essential oils. So if you are interested in essential oils, then you can check that. That's a link on my website as well. Remember, if you need anything from us, like resources, etc., please let us know because we do not want to see you go through this by yourself. Thanks, Lanisha. Say good job, ladies. So we appreciate you all for coming out. We appreciate your support. We will see you we'll see you next month on the first Wednesday. But we will also, I'll see you next week because I know y'all gonna come back, right? And if you haven't subscribed today, go ahead and subscribe. Ladies, if you could just hold on for 1 second. Everybody else, thanks so much for being there. We appreciate it. You all are the best. We have the best. Thanks so much. 180 out.